This story is by Patty, and I made a few changes for you. Enjoy the best of this narrative. You can call me Patty, that's how you know me. I'm 29 years old, and since I was a child, I've been struggling to survive in the metropolis. I've worked in bars, sold cosmetics, and even taken care of the elderly. I've done everything, but nothing compares to what awaited me when I accepted a job as a cleaner at Milo's house. He had a somewhat enigmatic air, you know? He was 20 years old, a young heir to an immense fortune left by his father, but who preferred to live isolated in an old mansion high above San Francisco. They said the family had a history there, something shrouded in secrets that no one could quite figure out. Where did all that wealth come from? But Milo didn't seem to care about luxury or fame, spending his days secluded in his office, surrounded by a few screens and books on the shelf, like a researcher in search of something that only he could see. On the first day, he welcomed me with a strong coffee and a restrained smile. "The house is big, Patty. Clean where you can," he said, pointing to a hallway that seemed endless. The room smelled of old wood and beeswax, and the rooms were so spacious that my voice reverberated, like a confessional. Over time, I noticed the details. How he walked barefoot even in the cold, how his hands, calloused from handling ropes and horseshoes, touched the objects with an almost contradictory delicacy. And the looks, oh the looks. He watched me from afar, as if studying a painting, and when our fingers met as we passed a glass of water, it was as if an electric shock went through me. I also liked being there. I started spending more time at home so I could focus more on my work and, who knows, maybe get a raise and help reduce some of the credit card debt I had accumulated. I remember well the savings I had saved, ready for any emergency. It was a wonderful afternoon as I was cleaning the terrace when he came up behind me, laughing and singing country songs. The sun was warm, and all I could think about was how long it had been since I had eaten an eggplant. "Patty," he murmured. And before I could turn around, his hands were on me, pulling me closer. It was like a tropical storm wetting a flower in a garden, with an urgency I didn't know existed. When he placed me against the stone wall of the terrace, it felt like a sturdy and firm wall. I felt like a secret about to be revealed in that house. "Feel free to clean as you wish. I'll give you tips if necessary," he said, his deep voice resonating in my ear. I stopped singing alone, grabbed the microphone and began toesing louder, faster. I bent down to sing better and sang a lot until he finished. The rhythm. I cleaned up and went back to work, almost beating my hours. He was always attentive and respectful of labor laws. It was just the beginning of something more intriguing that I would begin to experience in that place. And it was the following week, even in the office, that everything changed for the better. He asked me to help with some paperwork. The place was even tidier but cheerful, filled with a desire that could no longer be contained. When I leaned over the oak desk to pick up a document, I only noticed his hand, curious as someone who finds a hidden treasure. "Are you sure?" he said, closer and more friendly, on the back of my neck. I didn't answer. I gave a yes as an answer, written in gestures and sighs. While I cleaned with total professionalism, behind me I felt happiness coming in like waves breaking on a rock, strong and persistent. A slight sharp pain at first, a fright that escaped in the form of a muffled groan, but soon the pain dissolved into heat, like sugar melting in hot coffee. I tried to keep cleaning, but I decided to leave it for later and answer his new call. He was smiling, and sometimes we even bumped into each other. This was new to me. I had never offered the back door to anyone. I mumbled, but he just laughed low and hoarse. "New," he discovered. Someone had already been through it. He answered, and at that moment, I understood that that house held more than just old furniture. There were days when I didn't want to leave. He paid me in cash, notes that I kept in a glass jar, dreaming of an uncertain future, but something about him fascinated me. One night, while he was going through his papers, I found a diary with coded notes and photos of a woman who looked like me. I later discovered that she had worked there decades before. Later that week, he invited me to dinner. "I need to show you something," he said, leading me to a cozy corner of the house. He told me that his family had made a lot of money mining gold in the last century. He didn't want to reveal the exact amount he had in the account, perhaps because it wasn't the right time. I've never been nosy either. I've always been looking for fun, and here I had found a nice person who was teaching me a lot. Interrupted, asking for silence with my finger near my mouth, and then he adjusted my lace that was near an old table. It was yet another opportunity to make money, but I didn't want that. People are very valuable, I said, bending down only to take out the tool that was stored there. There were no words between us, only the shadow that, if anyone saw, would only notice my head moving diligently. When I was almost finishing the final work on the tool, "Please don't waste it," he said, smiling, remembering what I had offered a few days ago. I laughed and said the following. "Well, I think now you could give me a little option, right? Since you noticed the door at the back one day without asking, do it again. You showed me a skill I didn't even know I had." He closed his eyes, rested a little because I moved gently, leaning over, while he slowly advanced towards the back door with the professional or weather-resistant tool. It was a little dry in that place. I moistened it with the only natural resource I had. This time, he, more experienced than ever, smiled as he received the joy in the shade, moving as if we were two workers united, stuck together. I wanted so much happiness that I was receiving. A job well done when the end was near. The door wide, open, almost finished. He didn't remove the tool, and I said to him to smile along. "I don't know what technique you're using and when you'll finish." Oh, I didn't finish talking and the water came down like rain. It was something that only professionals can keep under control, or maybe he didn't even want to control it at that moment. "You've overcome it today." I looked at him as he put the game aside. I grabbed a cloth that was near the table and cleaned it as I always did. "Look, Milo, I don't want to seem selfish. I always do my job with care and professionalism. I don't want tips today. Just being here, doing what I love, and still receiving recognition in this way, is my happiness. I've never experienced anything like this. Patty, don't worry. Your spot is always guaranteed here, and I'll always be here at your disposal for whatever comes up. For now, I can't reveal many things, but I realize how kind-hearted you are. I can use the back door whenever I want, of course, Milo. It's your gift, my gift, so for you. And so it's been almost 2 years since I've been working with Milo. I practically live the life of a queen here. So, my dears, did you like the story? I look forward to your comment, subscribe, and leave your like.